Welcome everybody, this is the Dr. Goof here, and we're going to go through how to build the Room Maze application. First thing we're going to do, let's hit the create. My screen says I need to enable Flash Player. Click on that, click the allow button that shows up. Anyhow, this will bring us into a new screen. The first thing I'm going to do in here, I am going to wait for changes to save. Then I am going to change the title to Room Maze. We are going to continue waiting for saving changes here. Hey, there we go. It showed up now. One of the first things I want to do, I want to delete my sprite because I don't think I'm actually going to use the cat. So I right-clicked on that, went to delete. I need a couple of different stages or backgrounds because I'm going to have a simple 3-room maze, and I will go into the backdrops tab. You'll notice my backdrop is all white. I'm actually going to change that. I would like my backdrop to be gray. Oh, I have changed it to a little bit of a dark gray. I want a door on the right hand side over here. I'm going to go very simple. I am going to add a red door. Quite simply. I actually want that a little bit different. I would like that to be a solid red door, so I am going to undo that. I'm going to click over here on the bottom. I'm going to click the solid red shape, go back to my red, and I'm going to redraw this little door over here. You know, it's not really a door, it's just a red line that shows us where we're going. Anyhow, that's going to be my first backdrop. Now I need to create a new backdrop. And in order to do that, I'm going to make the color background of this one gray as well. I think I made that the wrong gray, so I'm going to try one more time. That looks like a little bit better gray. Now I'm going to have 2 doors here. I'm going to have one on the left. I will make that door blue. Over here on the left, I will make the door up on the top. I'll make that a little bit of an orange style door. And that's my backdrop number 2. The next thing I want to do, I want to again add one new backdrop. I think this is my last one. Let me see if I can color the grays right again. And I believe I go back and look at this one, red. I think it's that color red is what I'm going to want to use. In this room, I'm going to want a shape so that when I go through this color red, it takes me to backdrop 2. Anyhow, there is backdrop 1, backdrop 2, backdrop 3. I have those there. Now I want to add a new sprite. I think I'm just going to choose one from the list here. I don't know, what would I like to use in this one? How about we use a duck? Duck sounds fun. I think duck is much too large, so I'm going to shrink him. I'm going to shrink the duck a lot. I want it to be significantly smaller. Alright. I actually want to go back to stage 1 to where we start. Okay. Now, first thing I want to do when I start my game, I want the duck to show up in this backdrop. So I'm going to click on my control events. Actually, I'm just going to click on events. When this is clicked, I want to go to my looks, switch to backdrop 1. I want to motion, I want to move the duck, in this case my sprite, I want to go to, and I'm going to simple things out, and I'm going to say let's go to 0, 0, and that should be easy enough. Now I need to set some forever loops in here to take care of how I walk from one direction to the other. In order to do this, I will need a forever loop with a bunch of if-then statements. I think I'm going to need 4 if-then statements. All of these if-then statements there for my directions and my arrows. So this is going to define how I move. Okay. Let's now go into, I believe this is in sensing, and when key is pressed. So I'm going to drag this down. When my up arrow is pressed, I naturally want to go up. So let's see what happens when we do that. So I would like to turn 90 degrees. Let's drag turn 90 degrees. Actually, let's not even do turn. Let's do point in direction. And what will happen there, point in direction, we're going to go 0 up. Then in our next one, we're going to have this one point to the right. We are going to have this one point to the left. And then we'll have the bottom one point down. Now let's go back and drag in our correct key presses. All right, in here, if we want this to go, if right arrow is pressed. Now we want this one to be if left arrow is pressed. And we want the bottom one to be if the down arrow is pressed. And so that will change the direction of the duck. Let me click this to run our game, and let me try hitting my arrow keys. You'll notice the duck turns around when I specify different directions. I'm going to stop that, but the duck doesn't move. In order to get the motion to happen, we probably need to add move 10 steps, and I'm just going to add it to each one of these. Move 10 steps. I'm even going to make it easier. I'm going to make move. Yeah, we'll just leave it like that. So let's see what happens now. When I move it, that works just great. Just how I would want it to work. I maybe don't like that the duck turns upside down. Let me see if I can fix that. In order to make the duck not turn upside down, let's go into our rotation style. Let's just do a left and right. We'll see what happens here. Stop it, run it again. That way, that way. Hey, it always faces, it never flips me sideways. I think I like that. I think we're going to stick with that. I'm going to hit pause there for a second. Now the next thing we need to do is when I run into the red block here, essentially our door, I want to be able to send myself into backdrop 2. So let's put another if statement in here. Control, let's put another if. If, I believe the next part is in sensing. So if my sprite is touching the color red, then going to want to do two things. We're going to want to change the backdrop. So let's switch backdrop to backdrop 2. And the other thing we are going to want to do is we're going to want to move the duck. Here, I'll just show you what happens before I explain how we want to move the duck. I'm going to stop this. I'm going to play this game again. I'm going to go over to the right. I don't think that worked. Let me try it again. Yeah, now it's going. When I run into that, you'll notice it switched to backdrop 2. The doors changed. But the problem was when I went through that door, my duck ended up on the right-hand side of the screen because that's where it was before. All we did is change the backdrop. We then need to move the duck to be over here somewhere. And so underneath switch backdrop to 2, I want to change the motion of my duck. I want to put him right there. So let's stop this all. Let's run it again. Takes us back to the beginning. Can move back and forth. I go through the door, and I should end up on the left side as if I just came in the door. And I do. That's what I wanted. Now I need to change this blue color. When I run into that blue color, I need to go back to the original room. Let's try that. We'll add another if-then here. You'll notice this program is going to be a lot of if-then statements surrounded by one larger forever loop. This one is very similar to going through the other door. This time we're just going to look at color blue. Sensing, if, touching, color, look on that blue. Then what we want is we want to switch backdrop back to 1. And there it is. Switch backdrop to backdrop 1. And I think I'm going to see if I can figure out exactly where I want the duck to come out. I want the location to be right there. So you can move your duck, your sprite, to a different location. And then when you go to motion, this go to XY, it automatically populates these positions with where you are on the screen. 190.1.3. So let's stop all this. Let's start this all over. Notice my duck is back in the middle. I just noticed one thing I'd like to change here. Also in my go to XY00, I'm actually going to want him to point in the direction facing right every time I start. So now my sprite faces that way. I go through the red door. It looks like I came into the room. Now if I go through the blue door, it looks like I came back through there. Alright, so that's nice. That's how we'd want that to look. Now let's go up. We need to add one more if-then statement here to go through the top door. So let's give this a try. If-then, hit the red to stop things here. If-then, sensing if we're touching color. And what is the color that we don't want to touch up here? Click on the little color box down here. And if I click on the actual color in the screen, it populates that for me. What do I want to do then? Then I want to switch to background 3. Switch to backdrop 3. And I will want to go to probably somewhere about like right there. So let's go to our motion. Let's give that a whirl. Let's run that. Okay. Running it again. I go through the door. I go back through. Things are working great. Now if I go up, hey, I get into room 3. Oh, here's a trick though. I have 2 doors colored red, the same color red. Now I could put in some extra logic to tell the program whether I'm going down or left or right, but I think what I'm going to do to make this a little bit simpler, I'm just going to change the color of this door from red to a different shade of red, maybe a darker red. So I'm going to stop my program, click on my backdrops, go to backdrop 3, and I'm going to clear out everything, repaint the background gray, then I'm going to draw a new door, and it's going to be a much darker red. We're going to make a darker red door right there. I actually think I want to make it a little wider. There we go. It's going to save things. I'm going to go back to my script for my duck. And this, now I need to add another if-then statement for this dark color red. Go back into control, add another if. If we're touching the dark red, then we want to switch background back to 2. There we go. See, this goes pretty quick. And we want our duck probably to go to the top of the screen. So something about like that. Let's hit the stop. There we go. We have a duck. He goes through the door. Oh, he can go back through that door. It works fantastic. If he goes up, oh, he comes right through the door. If he goes down, he goes through that door as well. And you can navigate all the way through the game like that. Now, a couple things we need to do. We need to hide something, probably in stage 3. Now what we need to do is we need to go back to the beginning, and we maybe need to add a few directions. So on our very first backdrop, I'm going to go back into my backdrops. I'm going to add some text, some real simple text. I'm going to make it black, and I will add some text in here that says, find the gold coins. Well, that is all the directions we need. Move that a little bit into the middle. You notice the user interface. It's not really fancy in this game, but that is okay. So now we say find the gold coins. We actually need to add the gold coins somewhere. I'm going to put them in backdrop 3. And in order to do that, I probably need gold. Let me see if I can create a gold. Go down into here. That looks close enough to a gold for me. Let's try that. Now let's go to some round circles. Now we're going to draw a few gold coins up there. I'm just going to draw a few. There we go. Let's move that one over. Next to it. Three gold coins. Kind of looks like a paw print. You know, I'm going to erase those because I don't really like those. Those did not look very nice. Let's get my fill with color again. We'll go back into here. It's just like that never happened. Let's try to make gold coins again. Maybe I didn't like the gold. I think it needs to be more yellow. Let's try that. Maybe we'll make them a little bit bigger this time. That looks like a nicer gold coin. Let's try to add another one. There's a second one. Let's add another gold coin. We got some gold coins there. Those still aren't fabulous, but I'm gonna call that good. Now I'm gonna save that, go back to my sprite, go back into my scripts. Now I need to add another if statement that when I run into the gold coins, it says, it displays, you win. Back into our control, grab onto an if, sensing, if your touching color we want is yellow, that bright yellow, then we don't want to switch the backdrop, we don't want to go anywhere different, we just want to go to looks, and we want to say congrats, you are the winner. And we want to display that for 2 seconds, and then I don't know, maybe just want to stop everything after that point. Okay, now that we've got everything stopped at the end of the game after we touch that color, let's run this game and let's see what happens. Find the gold coins is what it says. Move back and forth into things, go through the red, come up here. Oh, congrats, you are the winner. And then it stops the game. So that is how you win the game. Couple of other things I wanted added in here. I want an obstacle to show up somewhere. So I am going to say on backdrop 2, we're going to make a fire-breathing dragon show up. And if we run into the fire-breathing dragon, if we run into the dragon's fire, well, it's a fire-breathing dragon, it is going to end the game. So let's start working on that. The next thing we need to do is add the fire-breathing dragon. I am going to take myself to backdrop 2. Go to backdrop, click on backdrop 2. Now I'm going to add a new sprite. And I believe there is a dragon. Okay, it's going to add this dragon. Couple things I want. I want the dragon to be over here. And I actually want the dragon to face in a different direction by default. I want the dragon to be in that direction. And if I go into the dragon's costumes, I see that there are 2 costumes. But here's what I want to do with the dragon while I'm clicking. While I have the dragon highlighted over here, I'm going to go add some code into this. I'm not going to tell you how things are connected quite yet, but I'm going to add a forever loop in here that just goes through and it makes it look like the dragon is breathing fire. So we're going to switch. I'm going to switch. We're just going to go to the next costume, and then we are going to pause or wait for 1 second and just forever loop through this. So if I click on that, you can see what it's doing. But in order to get that triggered to show up, here is what we want to do. When I am in the first room and I go to the second one, I want the dragon to show up. So I'm going to fire a message, broadcast a message that says display dragon. And I am going to have to do that back on this original duck when it goes into that first door, which is right here. I'm going to broadcast message. I'm even going to change the name. Display dash dragon. So that is very nice. One other thing, when we are in the last backdrop 3, when I'm on that dark red, when I go through that door, I'm also going to want to display the dragon because that's going to take me back into room 2. Let's go add that into our code as well. That was the dark red, broadcast, display, dragon. Okay, now let's go add back to our dragon. Now we can add when I receive display dragon. We want to do that, but before we even get into the for loop, we need to, when it looks, and we need to make sure to show the dragon. So that is what we will want. And we can even go to emotion, and we can even make sure it's at the right location. So we can add a go to there. One other thing, that's going to be great. That's going to show the dragon when we want to. The other thing we're going to want to do when we start the game, so our event, we want to hide the dragon at first, so that nobody sees it, because we only want the dragon to show up in room 2. Let's give this a shot. Let's try this. Let's run our game. Find the gold coins. Move around as the duck. Run into the door. Oh, wow, don't run into that dragon. Ah, the dragon is breathing fire on the duck. But we don't have anything set up to know the difference. Alright, here's the problem that we just had. When I go through this door and leave room 2, we need to send a message to hide the dragon again. Let's stop this. Let's go into that. It's going to be very similar to when we displayed the dragon. Now we need to look for the orange and the blue. Go back to our duck. When we are in orange or blue, we need to send out an event. Broadcast event. And instead of display dragon, we're going to call it hide dragon. And we're going to click OK. We're going to drag this into the blue as well. We're going to drag hide dragon. I'm also going to put this in one other place as well. Right at the beginning of the game, when we start, I'm going to fire a message or broadcast a message that hides the dragon. Now when I go into dragon, I need to add when I receive message hide dragon. I actually no longer need this because I'm now sending a message when I get started to hide the dragon. Let's pause that. Let's run it. Let me go through the doors. You'll notice the dragon disappears. If I want to make the dragon a little bit more exciting, let's have him pause a half a second between when he breathes fire. Oh, that looks so much scarier. Let's go up and see what happens. He disappears when we go into room 3. That is what we would want. That is fantastic. A couple of other things. We can actually, I believe we can drag this stop up in here. And we can stop this script. Let's see what happens when we do this. I don't use stop this script a whole lot. Let's run it again. We hopefully are going to notice no difference when I leave the room. We don't really notice much of a difference. Let's try this again. We try this again. We'll go through the door. Gotta get this started. Alright, that did not work. I'm just going to pull out the stop. It didn't do what I wanted to. Maybe I'll come back to that at a different time. Okay. Run through this again to make sure it still works. Dragon goes back and forth, breathes fire. We go to the coins. You are the winner. Fantastic. The game is done. Two other things. We added the obstacle, but we never added anywhere that said if we run into the fire that the game would end. Let's look into that. So the duck and the fire-breathing dragon. Here's what we need to do. Go back into our duck. Somewhere in here, we need another if statement that says, if we run into the color on the outside of those flames. Let's see if we can find that. I'm going to click in here. There. I just found that edge of the dragon. If you're touching that color, then what we need to do, we need to say game over for 2 seconds, and then again we're going to stop the whole script. Let's run that and see what happens. Let's go into our next room. We run into the dragon. We must not have gotten that color right. So let's try again. We must have missed that color. So let's stop it again. There we have it. Let's try to get this color again. Let's click on that color. And let's go up here. Let's try to find that red. I think we got it that time. We'll try again. Moving over to the right. Game over. And then we're done. So that time it finally worked. Sometimes you gotta try a little bit to get that color just right. So now we have an obstacle. The last thing we have left is a timer. Adding the timer. You'll notice if you go into sensing, there actually is a timer button. You can click on that and it adds a timer to your game in the upper left hand side. Here is what we want to do when we start our game. We always want to reset the timer. So we're going to reset the timer. Then at the very end of the game, after we say, congrats, you are the winner, here's what we're actually going to do. We are going to go into our operators and we are going to join two things together. We are going to say, congrats, you are the winner, space, and put an exclamation point, space, you finished in a time of space, space, and instead of the word world there, we are going to go back into sensing and we're going to drag in timer. And we are going to see what happens now when you stop this. We run our game again. Notice the timer is up there. If we uncheck it, does it disappear? We'll try that after we play the game. Run over here, we go through this. Don't get hit by the dragon. Go up to the top. Hey, congrats, you are the winner, you finished. Hey, I think we need to display that for more than 2 seconds. Couple of changes here. I'm going to uncheck the timer because the time is still running in the background, but we just don't see it. And I'm going to display this for 5 seconds instead of for 2 seconds. Let's try this game again. Run through the door. Watch out for the fire-breathing dragon. Go up top, find yourself coins. Congrats, you are the winner. You finished in a time of 7.068. That is the end of the game. I believe that has everything I was looking for in the game. It is very simple. I hope you had some fun trying to build that. Obviously, if you want to make this game a little bit harder, you can add more obstacles. You can add more rooms. You can add more designs to each room so you can make each of your rooms look a little bit more fun. More so than the very simple gray that I had. Anyhow, that was the project, the Scratch Challenge for the week. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you'll try another Scratch Challenge.